On today's episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos started the weekend with a whole lot of hope, but by Sunday, all we felt was, nope. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Boston Red Sox. We're going to share what they did well, talk about Friday's game, and what they didn't do well. That's Saturday and Sunday's game. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your car running. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep that ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. And the eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
Happy Monday to you, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
All right. All is right in the world. You're back. We're back together. We did our little thing that we always do. I love that. We're here 5 days a week. It's your team every single day, of course. And we're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball with you Monday through Friday. Mike, how was your anniversary weekend?
It was fantastic, and it was fantastic for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons I really appreciated being away is the Angels won on the day that I was away.
You got to celebrate your SC Halo on Twitter said you got to celebrate your anniversary more often, Mike.
Right. If you're going to pay for it, SC Halo, I'd be happy to celebrate it as often as you would like for me to celebrate, because the Angels did great on Friday, but Johnny, Saturday and Sunday were not fun games, but we'll talk about them anyway.
Yeah, we're going to get into a weekend recap here of what the Angels did against the Red Sox. Look, there was plenty of chances over the weekend. I know they won on Friday, but let's start with Friday, because Detmers was dealing on Friday, which is a continuation of what he's been doing so far this season, Mike.
Yeah, Reid went 6 in the third innings, no runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 98 pitches. He threw over 60 strikes, Johnny. His ERA drops to 1.04. And I got a little graphic for you to look at. You can see that Reid Detmers had everything working against the Red Sox. In fact, he had 12 whiffs in that game on Friday and was just spectacular. He maxed out at 95 miles an hour on his fastball, and his slider and his changeup and his curve were all working, and at speeds that you want them to be at, because it helps offset that fastball. Right. Matt Birch tweeted that Reid is the 5th pitcher in Angels history to have 26 plus strikeouts through his first 3 games in the season. He joins Nolan Ryan, who's done it 4 times, Jared Weaver, ding, who did it in 2011, Andrew Haney, 2019, he had a good run. Okay. And then Shohei Ohtani in 2022. They're all on that list. And he left this game, Johnny, with a great big smile on his face. He said, want to win 20 games. Well, he's 3-0, so 17 wins to go, Reid. But he looked like our ace and somebody that has really helped to solidify the starting rotation, to be somebody we can count on that maybe ends a losing streak or gets us started on the right foot. And Friday night, everything was really hopeful because he did just that.
Big change was taking the velocity off of that slider, Mike. And we talked about that last year and how it becomes more of a cutter in that sense, like a fastball that's not as fast as your 4-seam, but it's still coming in there around 90. And he was throwing that slider really hard. So it just goes to show the benefit of taking a few ticks of velocity off. You get a little bit more spin, you get a little bit more drop on that thing. And that's why that slider is working so well. I'm trying to do the math in my head. I think he's 15% of the way there. Every day, or you can correct me because I was an English person, not a math person. So there you go. Hey, the Angels offense got started early in this one. In the top of the first, Rendon singled. Shawnuel was hit by pitch. Trout had a fielder's choice, but a throwing error allowed him to reach. Then Ward grounded into a force out, but a run scored. Hicks singled, and Shawnuel scored. Drury grounded out, and Ward scored. So it was a nice 3-0 lead.
And there's that nickel and dime that we've been talking about, Johnny, and they did that in the first inning. They weren't able to really capitalize in a big way with all the runners on, but they did capitalize and they got runners to score. And that's something that the Angels just didn't do the rest of the weekend.
I had to laugh because, I had that conversation on Friday about what would I do with the lineup if I was in charge. And a big part of why the Angels have struggled with runners in scoring position is who's getting the opportunities when there's a chance to hit with runners in scoring position. So far, it was Miguel Sano and Brandon Drury as of Friday leading the team. Now that's obviously changed, and we'll get into why that's changed. But Aaron Hicks had himself a great game on Friday, and it drives me nuts because somebody was like, "Well, this aged poorly." Well, then the next two games happened, so let's cool our jets on this aged poorly.
Yeah,
Aaron Hicks was great on Friday, and that was about it, Mike. The top of the third, Nolan Shawnuel had a single, Hicks had a single, Drury singles, and then the throw from center field got away, and Shawnuel scored 4-0. Man, the Angels had been able to capitalize on those Red Sox mistakes. Usually, ones making all the mistakes in the infield and the outfield. Top of the fourth, Zach Neto hit a double. Rendon singled, Shawnuel singles, and Neto score. So that at that point it was 5-0. Top of the sixth, Mike Trout singles. Taylor Ward hits a home run, makes it 7-0. That home run went out of the stadium over the Green Monster.
Right,
it disappeared into the night.
Smashed it.
That was fantastic. But here's the info on that: 422 feet. It's tied for the fifth longest home run of Taylor Ward's career, longer than any homer he hit last season. All of this off Tanner Houck, who had 2 starts before this of 6 innings and no runs, and just one of those came against the Halos. Every Angel starter in this one had a hit. So then it became Luis Garcia coming in, Jose Cisnero, and Hunter Strickland. They were able to finish this one. Angels won 7-0. It's the kind of game you like to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good pitching and timely hitting, and they did what they needed to do. Can I take it back to Reid Detmers for just a moment? He is somebody who has really improved this year, and I'm grateful to see that as an Angel fan. I just hope that it impacts this starting rotation, and I had an anticipation that we would at least get one really great start from Tyler Anderson. We'll talk about that in segment 3, but Reid really set the pace and really got us off to a great start. And as you mentioned, taking velocity off his slider and making adjustments when needed and when necessary. And it was nice to see him come off the mound, have a bit of a talk with Ron Washington, and then a big smile on his face because he has worked really hard to get here. And he's somebody who we've been expecting to be really great. The thing that I think we just need to caution ourselves with is that he is still really young, and the Angels brought him up really fast, like they do with a lot of their other players. And it's taken him a few years to begin to figure it out. I think he's starting to figure it out now, John. And I think that what we're seeing from Reid isn't just because the competition hasn't been great. I think this is really who he is. And so I want to continue to watch him develop, especially against some of the better teams that we're going to be facing over the next month.
I appreciated that he went out and got that first out in the 6th inning against the lefty. I thought that what a great situation. Let the guy come back out. He had enough pitches to do it with, and whether he was going to get that first guy or not, it was going to be his last batter of the night. So it was great to see him get that last out against the lefty in that situation. Mike, you bring up an interesting point. I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter and even on Reddit just about how quickly these guys are coming up and not being in the minor leagues. And is that a problem for guys like Neto and Shawnuel and whatnot? And I guess my pushback is, when has the Angels player development done anything good for the minor leaguers? I mean, maybe Brandon Marsh was a decent, but he thrived with the Phillies and he was already on the Angels major league club, and the Phillies started playing him almost every day. So are you going to let them develop at the majors or the minors? Does it matter at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, I'd rather these guys be around the likes of Ron Washington and Barry Enright. And so for me, this is a season of no expectations. So why not let these young guns go up there and do their thing at the major league level? I don't think it's a problem to rush through certain people.
There's a trend that's happening on Twitter, I sent you a thread, I think maybe Saturday.
Yeah.
Different teams are talking about like, hey, their 2019 draft, where are those prospects, or their top 30 prospects is what they were talking about. And so I just perused over the Angels prospects from 2019, and it's very different than a lot of other teams. And nobody's surprised by that. Nobody's surprised that these guys haven't turned out to be really spectacular players, partially because we haven't had great draft picks, but we also haven't had great development. And so I think at this point right now, I want to see these players at the highest level so that they can learn how to play at the highest level. And a part of that means that you're going to have to suffer through a Sean O'Well 2 for 22 streak. That's why I don't suggest the Angels send him down. It's also like watching Neto, especially on Sunday. He had a key moment where he walked and got on base and loaded the bases. The guy also plays some really great D. And Mark Gubicza said on the TV broadcast, I think Friday night, was that the Red Sox broadcasters had mentioned that watching Zach Neto play defense is a marvel. And so he's somebody that I think is really starting to develop. And there's going to be a lot of hiccups along the way. There's going to be a lot of struggles that happen. And I would rather have these guys develop under Wash and develop under Enright and Johnny Washington than be in the minor leagues right now. Because if I pointed to the minor leagues, Johnny, is there anybody that you could go, oh, that guy, going to be fantastic, right? Like there isn't anybody that really rises to the surface. And I know that there are some names that are starting to catch our attention, like Nelson Rada and Caden Dana and other guys that we've mentioned on this broadcast. But the reality is that there isn't anybody that there's no Jackson Holiday, right? There's no that's in the minor leagues right now that we're going, oh, we're just itching for them to get there. And so I'd rather see them at the major league level and see them develop at the major league level.
Speaking of that, I think I mentioned it Friday, Caden Dana shouldn't be anywhere near this major league roster because he needs time to develop. Like if that's going to be a situation, let that guy develop and learn in the minor leagues. He's 20 years old, I believe. Yeah. And so it's really important to let a guy who looks like he's going to be an ace actually take the time in the minor leagues that he deserves. So that's one example that I believe is a good example of somebody being down in the minors and letting them work. I just think at this point, you've already called up Neto. You've already called up Sean O'Well. There's no point in trying to say, well, maybe they shouldn't be here. I mean, where else are you going to put them?
Yeah.
And are you confident when you say that they should be in the minors? Are you confident that they are going to get the best instruction there? My guess might be no at the end of the day. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. The Angels are playing the Rays in Tampa at 3:50 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels after a nice win in Game 1 on Friday night, the Halos struggled to repeat their success from that first game. Kind of looked like last weekend against the Red Sox, but we'll share what happened and we'll share what went wrong in just a minute.
Hey, today's show is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Now, if you're working on your car and you need a little bit of help, eBay Motors will provide you with that a little bit of help or a whole lot of help. They have everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and even level it up to peak performance, like superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts. With for your auto, or I messed that up. I should have done that a whole lot better. Let me do it again. With over 122 million parts for your auto, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for at eBay Motors. And they have the eBay Guarantee Fit, which means that your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every single time or your money back. And they have everything that you need at eBay Motors. You're not burning cash, you're burning rubber. So with all the parts you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car, your truck, or your SUV into the MVP that you want and bring home that win. So keep your car, truck, or SUV alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. The eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monopoly Go. Mike, you and I and your lovely wife, Tiffany, used to spend a lot of time playing board games together, especially when I was little. So it's appropriate that you celebrated your anniversary over the weekend. What's it, 22 years now? 22 years? Yep. I love that. And we played a lot of board games, but now, you can take your board games on the go and play them on your phone because right now, one of the most popular games is Monopoly Go. It lets you compete with your friends and family and work to get the most riches and the biggest empire. So you and me and your wife, we could play Monopoly Go together. And if I cry like I used to when you guys would win, you'll never know because I'm playing on my phone and not in the same room with you. But together we can play Monopoly Go together. It's the Monopoly you love on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies or your family members that hurt your feelings. This game gives you so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make all your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. I cannot wait to play this against you. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go. It's free to play on the Apple App Store or on Google Play.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And the Locked On Podcast Network is proud to present its NFL mock draft live on April 17th. April 17th at 7 Eastern time. The mock draft will be streaming live on Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 Eastern to hear who the local experts on Locked On are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL mock draft on April 17th at 7 Eastern time, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app.
The Angels are playing the Rays today at 3:50 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you gotta do is search Angels. The Angels be in Tampa at 3:50 Pacific time today. So it's an away game for these guys, part of a long road trip. And this is where the road trip started to go downhill, Mike, on Saturday's game. Good pitching on Friday, not so great pitching on Saturday. In fact, Griffin Canning got the start in this one. Here's his final line: 4 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 runs, 6 of those were earned. No walks, but 6 Ks across 70 pitches. Mike, what the heck happened to Griffin Canning, and why has he struggled so much this year?
Yeah, he doesn't look like the guy in spring training, and the guy that I even said maybe he could be the opening day starter, right? That was stupid. His fastball.
What an idiot!
His fastball's down 2 miles an hour from last year, John. So that's a big issue for Griffin Canning. In fact, all of his pitches are about 2 miles an hour less than they were last year. And you're seeing hitters take advantage of that. And it's why Griffin is throwing a lot of off-speed pitches.
Yeah.
He just can't seem to control his fastball. He can't get strike one. That's been part of the issue as well. But he can't get strike one with that fastball. So he's having to throw his secondary stuff, and he's having to try to pitch through it. Something I said to you as we were texting back and forth this weekend is, it feels like Griffin Canning is in his Jared Weaver almost ready to retire season, right? Like he's trying to figure out how to throw all of his secondary pitches because his fastball is just not fast right now.
You didn't start where that thread started. Our text message started. What did I say to start the thread?
So Griffin Canning is terrible, right? I think that's what you said.
I said, so Griffin Canning sucks now, right?
That's right. The other thing that's interesting about Canning, John, and why he's been struggling is his ground ball percentage is almost half of what it was last year. 42% last year, 25% this year. A lot of his outs, a lot of his hits are getting up in the air. And once they're up in the air, that's dangerous. And you're seeing that happen in almost every one of his starts. He's given up home runs, and it's more than what we've been used to seeing from Griffin Canning. And he's giving them up in succession. Like, he's giving them up pretty frequently because a lot of his pitches are being left out over the plate. They're a little bit slower, and they're hanging there for the hitters to take advantage of. In fact, you never want to be in the same category as Joe Blanton, but Griffin Canning is in a category with Joe Blanton. He is one of 3 Angel pitchers to allow 4+ earned runs in no more than 5 innings in each of his first 3 starts. So that's Griffin Canning from this year, and then Joe Blanton from 2013, and then Matt Parisho. I don't know if you remember that name or not. I remember him.
Yeah.
He sucked. 1997, he was not great either because he's in that same category with Joe Blanton. But Griffin Canning, man, is just scuffling right now, and it doesn't seem like anything he's doing, even being delayed in his start. He was supposed to start Wednesday. They had Soriano start. They moved him to Saturday. Didn't help at all, did it?
Yeah. Wonder if there's a Griffin Canning is on the 15-day IL with a sore butt. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
like it's going to be some sort of reason to get him on the IL and figure out what's going on. But Mike, velocity being down is not a good sign.
No.
And it concerns me.
Especially in this world right now, right?
Yeah, it concerns me with his arm. And you and I are going to talk about what the Angels had to say about the pitching injuries on tomorrow's show. But yeah, that's very concerning for Griffin Canning. And again, it's frustrating, Mike. I keep saying it. We can't give the game away in the first, second, or third inning. And the Angels just keep doing that. The starting pitching just keeps doing that, especially Patrick Sandoval and Griffin Canning. So it's super frustrating. But let me talk about the offense in this one. The Red Sox, they got the scoring started with a double and a single. Tristan Casas, 2-run home run.
Crushed that pitch.
Another home run against Griffin Canning. It was a changeup that got over the middle of the plate. And again, Canning is just trying to throw anything that he can locate. So he tries to throw the changeup there, and it gets crushed. And it's going to get crushed when it's in that location. The next hitters had to double the left field and then moved to third on a pass ball. So that wasn't great. Then a soft infield single brought in the 4th run. Bottom of the 2nd, the Sox got another run. They singled to right field, 2 outs. That made it 5-0, followed by a single by Yoshida. That made it 6-0. And just really frustrating. Talking about the Angels offense here, top of the 2nd, Ward got a bloop hit to right with 2 outs. Moniak got an infield hit. Ohapi walked, but then Neto grounded out in that one.
Chance.
Yeah, another chance. Top of the 3rd, Taylor Ward had a 2-run home run. So that one went 407 feet. That was fantastic to see. That made it 6-2. But then Duran, I can't remember. Why am I blanking on? Jarren Duran. Thank you.
Yes.
Bottom of the 3rd, Jarren Duran had a sac fly that made it 7-2. Then they brought in Carson Fulmer, who went 4 innings to save the bullpen. And Mike, this is where I get frustrated because you bring in Carson Fulmer to do that long relief thing to spare your bullpen for the next day.
Yeah.
But then they didn't really take advantage of that on Sunday. This is the 11th game where the Angels have in 14 total games where the Halos either lead by 4 or we're down by 4. So far, the season has been all or nothing.
Yeah.
And then Sunday came along and it was a lot closer than you would have thought to start things out. Even though Tyler Anderson didn't have the best start, the Angels still had a chance, and we're going to get into what the heck happened here in just a minute.
Got a new sponsor for Locked On Angels. It's Yahoo Finance. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take advantage of those investments and move them to the next level by using great financial wisdom from Yahoo Finance. For over 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking at that extra guidance or for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data that you need in one place. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, so much more. Secure your, you get a secure link to your brokerage accounts for your unified view of your wealth, including your 401k and other investments. A comprehensive perspective is what sets great investors apart, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. And with a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For a comprehensive financial news and analysis, you can visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination. Once again, that's yahoofinance.com. Lastly, yahoofinance.com.
Mike, Sunday's game has come and gone, and the Angels lost this one 5-4. They had a chance. Let's jump right to the 9th inning because they had a chance in this one. Top of the 9th. It was a little scary because they were going up against Kenley Jansen, and he did not have control and was not able to locate his cutter, and it clipped Ohapi on the bill of his helmet. Fortunately, it was the bill of his helmet. So that hit by pitch started the inning. Moniak had a bloop single that put the runners on first and second. Then Neto walked, and it loaded the bases. Anthony Rendon came up at the top of the order, hit a sacrifice fly. It scored a run, and all the runners moved up, which I loved to see. What a great read from Zach Neto at first base, seeing where that ball was going to land and where the throw was going, and for him to go first to second on that, I was really impressed by that. So the Angels just trailed by 1 run at that point. But then that brought up Luis Rengifo. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, he swings at the first pitch. And that's something that I know with Rengifo we see a lot. However, Kenley Jansen is really struggling. And the first pitch that he swung at was high and outside.
Mm-hmm.
And he lined it hard, and it was barely foul.
Yeah.
And so I know if it went fair, I probably would, I'd sound like a hypocrite, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm glad he got a hit. But Kenley Jansen's really struggling, and you helped him out. Then he throws another pitch, and Rengifo does the same thing, lines it down the right field line, barely foul. So he's down 0-2 already. And then an 0-2 pitch, Rengifo strikes out, swings and misses on a pitch outside of the zone because the 2 pitches that he made contact with were borderline, and Kenley Jansen stretched it out, which I'm not a baseball guy. I'm not a baseball hitter. I'm not a baseball player. I knew that the ball was going to be way outside the zone, and it was way outside the zone. And so I know it's frustrating, and it's for fans. I know it's different for them sitting in the box. But the reality is, John, like, he's got to be aware in that moment. And Rengifo doesn't do himself any favors. I know the narrative around him is that he performs when the team's terrible, and this is why he's on this team and not another team. And the truth is I think he's a valuable guy to the Angels, but also a valuable guy to any team. But it's in these moments, man, this is where you earn playing time. And this is the opportunity for you to come through. You got to make contact at least, because a ground ball somewhere or a fly ball somewhere scores a run.
Yeah. Striking out was the absolute worst thing that could have happened in that situation. And that's what happened. And the truth is, Mike, Rengifo's a much better player when he's patient at the plate.
Yep.
And I don't know why he comes out of the box hot and ready to go like a Little Caesars pizza. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a pitch or two, dude. Like, good grief. I understand he's ripping it down the left field line and then the right field line. And then, like you said, everybody in that stadium knew that he was going to go chasing that one. Everybody at home knew that. And so it's just so frustrating to see that in a moment like that. And speaking of frustrating, it brought up Mike Trout. And I want to point out something that is going to tie into what I'm going to talk about in just a second.
Okay.
Mike Trout in his career is 1 for 11 against Kenley Jansen. And first base was open. And Alex Cora took the chance with Kenley Jansen against Mike Trout, even though there were runners on second and third, and he, a single would have done the job, and the Angels would have taken the lead, or at least tied the game, I should say.
Yeah.
Likely taken the lead on a Trout single. They played the matchup there, and it paid off for the Red Sox because Mike Trout struck out on a 2-2 cutter that was low, and in Trout's strike zone, wasn't able to make contact with it. A lot of people said, hey, Super Halo Bros, Trout's got to get Trout to the playoffs. And I fully agree. That was a moment where in any situation, you'd want Mike Trout in that situation.
Right.
But the thing is, the matchup was totally in favor of the Red Sox, and Alex Cora played the matchup. He played the 4D chess, Mike. And what I'm getting at here is, I know we'll talk about Anderson in a second, but Ron Washington brought in Jose Suarez when the game was 3-2.
Yeah.
And shortly after Jose Suarez surrendered a 2-run home run and made it 5-2, Trout and Ward tied the game up with a Trout triple and a Ward single, or maybe, I can't remember, sac fly or single. Sac fly. They tied the game up. It would have been 3-3, but it wasn't because Ron Washington decided to play the lefty-lefty matchup. And any research will tell you that Jose Suarez's career batting average against lefties, 252.
Yeah.
I'll take Kenley Jansen versus Mike Trout 1 for 11 over Jose Suarez trying to get lefties out. Just a terrible move.
Yeah.
Because Jose Suarez is a garbage time pitcher, and it wasn't garbage time. It was 3-2, and he made the deficit worse. I understand it was the 5th inning. I understand, but you just had Adam Simber go out there, finish the 5th inning for Tyler Anderson. Sorry, it was the 6th inning. So he comes out in the 6th inning. You couldn't go to Matt Moore if you wanted to play the matchup game. You couldn't bring in Luis Garcia, who's doing better these. Like, why in that moment, Ron Washington, did you decide that Jose Suarez was going to be the lefty specialist to go out there and get some lefties out? when he's never done that in his career. He's purely a garbage time pitcher. He had no business being out there 3-2 when the game was still winnable. I don't understand why we gave up so easily in that moment. Just a terrible call by Ron Washington. What I can't understand, Mike, aren't Barry Enright and maybe the other guys in there like telling him, hey, Wash, I don't know if we should go to Suarez in this moment. Like, we're just going to let him do that? I don't understand.
I don't know why Carson Fulmer saved the bullpen the night before. Right? And then you don't bring the bullpen in. And
you use your other long relief garbage time pitcher. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about here?
Yeah. Didn't make sense. And unfortunately, we were in this position because Tyler Anderson didn't revert all the way back to his 2023 performance, but he did look like 2023 Tyler Anderson in this game. Gave up 2 home runs in the first inning. Both of those were meatball pitches, a changeup right over the middle of the plate, and they crushed it. That's exactly what they should do. And then the 3 walks in 4 and a third innings, John, that's really what did him in. He's just giving free passes, and that's what really caused him to struggle last year. Looked like the Tyler Anderson of 2023, and I was really very expectant of him to continue his run and pitch really well, but he just didn't have it yesterday, and the Angels needed him to have it. But as you pointed out, they were in this game and they had a lot of opportunity to come back. They had multiple opportunities to tie this game. And we're back to this game of not hitting with runners in scoring position. Your lineup conversation was very appropriate on Friday because these guys need to come through in those moments. And I love that Trout tripled and I love that they got him in, but you're still down and you're still having to trail because you brought in Suarez. And then when they get runners on in that moment in the 9th inning, Rengifo's got to make contact. And so does Trout. Trout's got to make contact as well. And the fact that he didn't, the fact that both of them didn't, that's on them. And it's why the Angels haven't been able to win a series outside of the Marlins this year.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't understand. Just like, it drives me nuts that you were in this, even with a bad Tyler Anderson start, Mike, to leave the game 4 and a third inning, and then Simber comes in to finish up that 5th. 2 runs. It was 2-0. Like, good grief. You could have easily come back in this one. And so it's so insane to me that that's the way that this went down. So 3 runs. 3 runs. They were able to come back and tie it up theoretically had Jose Suarez not given up that 2-run home run. So again, so many missed opportunities, just weird lineup decisions, weird pitching selections and bullpen selections. I am in case it isn't obvious, I'm becoming frustrated with some of the decisions of Ron Washington. And maybe I just need to give it a month. Maybe I just need to give it till the end of April. But the moment-to-moment gameplay, Mike, is just I think everybody, like I said, everybody knew Rengifo was going to swing at that pitch outside.
Yeah.
And everybody watching at home knows that you don't go to Jose Suarez in that moment. I don't care what the matchups say. And by the way, the matchups aren't very good. He's not a very good lefty specialist kind of guy. You had Matt Moore waiting in the wings. I just don't understand it. And so, again, I think my patience, 14 games in, is that where we're at? Is running a bit thin. Maybe it's just because I don't feel very good today.
15 games in, maybe 16 games, you'll feel a whole lot better. And thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. That 16th game is today. The Angels play the Rays at 3:50 Pacific time. So an early one for us on the West Coast. And you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and get in the comments section so that you can interact with us there. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Angels pitchers had a lot to say about the injuries that we're seeing in Major League Baseball and had some reasons for that. So we're going to read about their reasons, and then we're going to respond to those reasons tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Looking forward to that conversation. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
John, the Angels are only a half game out of first place. So that's
still frustrated.
That's the good news. You said no expectations, so knock it off.
Well, Jose Suarez isn't an expectation.